Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Yomesh Gupta. This would be a multi-part series where we are going to take a look at small instances. Those instances could be production issues, broken code, or some other debugging issue that we are going to work together on, and we are going to fix those issues. We are going to take a look at what kind of tools, processes, knowledge we can use to fix those issues in a systematic manner. My aim is to impart the knowledge I have gathered over the years, the tools and the processes that I've learned with you all folks, so that any budding engineer or anyone who's already working in the industry can can benefit from these tools and processes and this knowledge, and maybe introduce that in their organization. If after watching the video, if you know better tools or some other way to debug these, then please definitely share them in the comments or reach out to me. So without wasting any time, let's get started. So let's consider this production app. It's currently deployed on Netlify. Basically, this is a file explorer menu app where if we click on the file icon, then it should create a file, and if we click on the folder icon, then it should create a folder. This is a very simple app that this functionality you must have seen on the DevTools platform or on Code Sandbox plus VS Code and a lot of other places. Now, right now there is a bug that if we click on the file icon, then nothing is happening, and if we click on the folder icon, then also nothing is happening. So I'll show you a couple of ways how I would approach this production issue, and your way might differ. So feel free to share your thought process, the tools and processes that you use to fix those issues. So first of all, I'll check the console that when I click on the file icon or the folder icon, then is there an error? So I'm currently clicking it and nothing is there. So my aim here is to check that is there any what we call runtime error, something like the dot property of undefined, something of that sort. So that would give me a low hanging fruit that I can see the runtime error, I can see the error stack trace, and maybe that would help me identify the root cause. Our process here is like, on if we see from a bird's eye view, our process here is the process of elimination, that we will try to eliminate different root causes using different methods. So the first way would be to checking the Chrome DevTools console to see if there are any runtime errors, and try to repeat the behavior. So we have seen that, so there is no error, so there is no runtime error. What else we can do? So next step would be that is it reproducible in different scenarios? So that means that is it occurring in different browsers, different devices? So right now I'm using Chrome. So let's say I've opened Firefox for the demo purposes, and this is the same app in the Firefox. And if I open the console of Firefox and try to click on it, the file icon and the folder icon, I can see that there is the bug that no file and folder is created, but there is no runtime error. So that means it is occurring. We can assume it is occurring across browsers. So you can do a more thorough testing or maybe use an automated tool. So that's the second step, that we have seen the different browsers. Now what else we can do? If your team, the third step would be, if your team is using some error monitoring tool, then that's the go-to step. So let's say in ours, one possible tool would be Sentry. Let's say if in this app we have integrated Sentry, so we can go to the Sentry and check if there are any issues. So I'll show you a demo data. So this is the Devtools Tech platform. So if you haven't seen, this is the Devtools Tech platform that you can use to prepare for front-end interviews and learn about front-end. So this is the Sentry view of the Devtools Tech platform. This is a demo error. So if you have integrated Sentry and if you go to the issue section, then it would show you all the issues here that occurs, basically JavaScript issues or your API issues, depending on how you have integrated. So now if you open this issue, then it would show you all the information, what is, when the issue occurred, what was the browser, what was the node version, was there any what are the cookies, what are device, screen size, stack trace also, so that you can identify what exactly is the issue. You can gather more data points. So the best way to debug is that there are two parts to it. One is that you gather as much data as possible to identify the root cause, and second is that you isolate different events, isolate different parts of it using different methodologies. Like we checked the console, so there was no runtime error. Okay, we checked different browser, so that means it was reproducible. Now we are checking the stack trace and we are checking additional information like what was the browser node and so on. And here in Sentry you can see all the data: browser name, client, was it handled, what was the URL. You can even, so Sentry might give you an option to check the AI suggested solution. Basically they are using OpenAI, they'll send your information to OpenAI and that would suggest you some data. One more thing you can see here is that I haven't integrated that, but you can do that release. So basically what you can do is that you can integrate Sentry's release functionality with your maybe CI, and what happens is that whenever you push a new release, then that would be recorded in Sentry. So if this error, let's say you release 3 versions within last 1 month, and if this error started occurring after the second version release, then it would map this to the second version, and inside the releases you can see what all releases were there and which error started occurring after which release, so that you can identify in your GitHub commits or in your releases what was the change after which this issue started occurring. So this would be the next step. And now since in this app we don't have Sentry integrated, I was just showing you the dummy data. What else we can do? Okay, so let's see. So now we know that when we click on the button, something which should ideally happen is not happening. So if we see the source code, then if we see the network tab and if we refresh, then since this is the production app, we are getting the app.js and app.cs, two files only, but this is all minified and we can't read this code that well. Another would be that if this is a React app, so if I try to use the React DevTools, then this is also a production version. But what if I can see the unminified code on the production only? What if I can see the source map? So you can debug this, like if you can try to replicate this behavior on your local, on your staging, which you should ideally do. That if you see an error, you go to your staging, try to replicate all the information which you gather from the monitoring tools, and see if the issue is occurring on local and Sentry, or local and staging also, and check what were the changes made. But for this purpose, for the demo purposes, let's see if you want to debug on production, how would I go about it? This is specifically from the front end point of view. So what I can do here is that I'll show you a neat way that, let's say I search for Chrome extension redirector. So this is a handy Chrome extension that I use. Let me just zoom in a bit. So if I add it to Chrome, so this would just add the Chrome extension to my Chrome browser. Now what this Chrome extension basically is useful for, that it serves that if you give it a URL like something like www.devtools.tech/app.js, if you give that URL and it tells you, and you tell that Chrome extension that when you encounter this URL, then serve the file from my local machine. So let's say how we can do this. So I go to redirector and I go to edit redirects. Let me just zoom in. So we can do one thing. Let me get the source code. So this is my source code file. This is my source code right now, and I have the server running, which is running on localhost 8000. Okay, so what we can do here is that we can create a new redirect. We know that in our file in our app we were getting two files, app.js, which was js/app.js, if you can see here, and app.cs. Okay, so that means that whenever we encounter these URLs, then we have to serve it from our local machine rather than from our production CDN. So let's me close this. I'll go to redirector. I'll create a new redirect rule. Let's say file explorer assets rule. Let me give you a demo URL. I can take this. I'll just paste it here. This is my demo URL. I have to include a pattern, so I can copy this again. I can say that if I have anything, so basically anything after this, we want to redirect it to, we want to get it from our localhost, which is localhost 8000 $1 $2, and so it's saying that the include pattern does not match the example URL. Okay, so this is the pattern, and so if we use regular expression, I think we have to make it like a regular expression. Let me just try it out. Okay, so now it's working. That if we provide it, that it would take this URL and everything after .app/js and /app.js, it would just replace it. It would take this and append it here. The $1 would become JS and $2 would become app.js. And we can, okay, one more thing, that right now it's going for the main window. We have to include style sheets, style script, images. You can enable and disable as per your scenario. So we want to check all the URLs for style sheets also, scripts also, images also. And if I save it now, if I go here and if I refresh this page, so now you can see there are multiple requests. That if we have app.js, this is the options request, and this apps.js is serving. Now we are serving it from our local host. We are getting the local data, and now the benefit of this would be that now you are running the production app, but you're serving the JS bundles from your local. I'm using redirector. You can use different tools for this. There are different Chrome extensions. Requestly also is useful in this scenario. So the benefit of this would be that you can see that now you can see the proper stack trace, the unminified code and everything. And the another benefit of this would be that you can see the source map. You have the source map. So this is the file. Let's say this is the file controls.js. This is basically the file that is referring here. We can check this. So if we go to the components and we can see, so this component is controls, and we can see that it is taking a prop on action and on control item click. So we are getting these are the props that we are passing it to this component controls. And we can find the same file, like if we close and search it again, just to show you that now since we have the source map, we can search individual components here. So controls, maybe directory, so based on your app. So if we see controls, so if I come here, and so ideally what should happen here is, I'm simplifying the error, that we can see that if we can edit, then will show the edit icon. If we can create file, then create file folder and so on. So if I click on this icon, then it should go to handle click, because that's the on click function we are passing here. And let me click on it. Then see, now we are using, this is the another debugging tool that you have to use debuggers. Like if you have the source file, you can rather than using console log, you should use debuggers, because now in the debuggers you will get all the information, like what is the local scope, or what a closure, the entire call stack, if you want to go back from where the call originated, and all the information you can check here. You can put variables on watch. So this debugger and using the Chrome DevTools is really important. So now once we clicked on it, we got here, we see we are getting the action as create file. Okay, and so we can put our debugger here also. Ideally, if we have the action and we have the type of action is function, then we should execute this. So but right now if we check the value, then our on action is null. so we are not getting the right variable, the right data. And if we check our components, then our on action is coming as null. It should come like a function. In place we are getting this another prop call, which is a on control item click. So if we just play this, so it's not going to own action. Now let's go back to our code. Let's this is our code. Let me just close this. Let me just open controls. So inside control, we, as we have seen earlier, that inside the controls we are these, we need to have these props, can edit, can remove, and so on. And inside handle click we have to call the on action. Now this control, if we check here, so this file is, this component is called directory, and inside directory we have controls. I'm able to see this well on production because I'm using the redirector app to serve the local bundle, and due to that I'm seeing the unminified code. So if I open the directory, index.js in directory, inside this we have controls, okay, but we are passing on control item click, but ideally if you see what we are expecting, on action. Okay, so that's the issue here. So if I call on action and if I save this, then we are building the bundle again. Now if I just refresh this, and if I go to sources again, there are my breakpoints. If I click on it, then it would again stop the flow here. We can see now we are getting on action as a function which we were passing handle control item click, and if we click on this, then it would go to on action, and this on action would send this action create file back to uh, our original event handler. So we can even go into this using the different controls, debugger controls provided here. And so by clicking on this, I jumped into that particular handle control item click, and we are checking the type. If it is a file, then we want to do something. If it's a folder, then we want to do something. And at last we are just dispatching the action. And if I click on this, see, now my functionality is working. Now I can name it app.js, and if we click on edit, then it's again here, and we see the on action is again null. That means the same error is occurring someplace else. Now we can search for the invocation of controls. We are seeing it in two files. Here also we can see the same error, on control item click. We have to just replace it to on action, and just let it execute. Now if we just refresh the page, let's create the file. Let me just disable the debugger. So we'll make app.jsx. If we click on it, then we can edit now home.jsx, and we can delete it also. So our functionality is fixed now. One call out which I would like to make here is that if this app would have been written in TypeScript, then this error, that the passing the wrong prop, our ID would throw a warning and error here itself, or maybe if we have integrated in our CI, then we would see the error right away. Plus, if there were any unit test or Cypress test, unit test or integration testing for like Cypress, then our pipeline would fail. So it's always good to have TypeScript. Plus, it's very important that you write tests, and those two things would help you a lot in the long run. So coming back and summarizing everything, that we saw that there was a production issue, that when we click on the file icon, then we were not able to create the file. We tried to check the console. We were not seeing any error. That was our first step. Then we tried to reproduce it in another browser. We were getting the same error. So that means it was happening across the different browsers and devices. Then our third step was checking the error monitoring tool Sentry. We did not see any error because it was not integrated. I was showing you dummy error, but ideally there might be some error there also. Then we tried to debug the production using different tools like redirector and debuggers and source maps and checking using all these tools, a combination of these tools, we were able to identify the root cause, fix it. And let's say if I just just add this, I'll just write a message fixes, I'll just push this, and this is done. So if I go to my, so this is the netlify, I'm using netlify to debug this. So we are seeing that the production right now is getting deployed. So we can go back to our redirector and we can disable this rule for now. And if we see, it's right now building, and let's just wait for a while. It's right now building. It's a pretty small app, it should be done quite fast. So bundling is in progress. So it's published now. So if I refresh this, so now I've disabled the redirector app. That means we are getting again the production bundle and there are no source map, but our issue is fixed and our users are happy. So this brings end to our video. I hope you were able to learn something new today. My aim, as I mentioned earlier, is to impart and share knowledge that I've learned over the years, the tools and processes that I've learned. Definitely would like to hear your feedback and your opinion on the content I am sharing. So please do mention them in the comments, and as always, like, share and subscribe. I'll be sharing the next part, next multiple parts soon. So till then, take care. Bye bye.